In his bedroom apartment, sitting in a chair, Ozawa is looking through a book that he grabbed from the bookshelf. Huh, that's odd. I can't find any books on our past. What happened to the old material? A knock on the door gets his attention. Come in. The door opens, revealing Genzrig coming inside. Hey, Gintoga. Oh, hey. How you been? I'm doing all right. What are you doing? Looking into the history of our country. For some reason, I'm only finding how the communists came into power. I know about all of that stuff, but what happened beforehand? The former Major General pulls up a chair and sits down in it. Unfortunately, there are restrictions when it comes to our education. Ozawa stops reading the book, turns around to the seated man with an eyebrow raised. Why is that? There are some hardliners in the government who wish to not teach Genghis Khan in schools. Hell, they don't even let them teach traditional Mongolian. Wait, seriously? That's bullshit. Yeah, they don't want to have anyone getting any ideas based on our old language and history. As if we would do something stupid. What gave them that idea? Stalin? Of course. Gunty facepalms, but another thought comes to his mind. Actually, this has been bugging me for 10 years. Why is Mongolia much smaller than in the 1200s? Genzrig crosses his arms. If I remember correctly, after the collapse of the Mongol Empire, it was annexed into China. After World War I, it was independent. But even then, it was looked at as a part of China still, or the USSR. In 1945, our state received recognition, finally. But yet, not all of our lost territory was granted to us. Like what? What we're in right now is Outer Mongolia. Inner Mongolia is a part of China. Ozawa becomes a little shocked by that revelation. What? How come? Ask Mao Zedong that same question and you'll get a quick and painless answer. More and more thoughts runs through the Japanese Mongol's mind, too many of which are for him to figure out on his own. Now, there is another reason why I came here to see you. Are you still trying to get me into the Communist Party? I told you I'm not interested. I want to stay away from politics. If that's the case, you wouldn't go through all that trouble just to get into this country, would you? Where are you getting at with this? Genzrig gets closer to his ear. What if I told you that I'm actually not part of the Communist Party, nor do I believe in its ideals? Gintoga's curiosity piques. I'd call you a liar? Well, I'm not. Because I'm part of a different party. I thought it was a one-party state. It is, but there are others who think differently. We could use a boost in our party. Are you sure? Because I'd look out of place. Nonsense. You'll fit right in. Just give it a chance, will you? Gintoga brushes his hair back and lets out a heavy sigh. All right, I'll take a look. Genzrig smiles. He sits up from his chair and stretches his body. Great! I'll let them know. Meet me 12 kilometers outside of the capital. And, make sure that you're not followed. Exactly over 7 miles, 12 kilometers, outside of Ulaanbaatar, Ozawa arrives at the spot where his friend had led him to. Upon arrival, he spots him standing outside of what looks to be an abandoned building. There you are. There you are. I was getting worried for a second. Were you followed? Thankfully no, but what the hell is this? This is the place where your party is meeting? It looks like a death trap. Looks could be deceiving. And you're here to be a new member, not to judge. Genzrig turns around, opens the door, and walks inside. Come on, they're waiting for you. With no other choice, the Japanese Mongol follows him inside. Upon entering and closing the door behind him, he finds that there is nothing. The hell? Nobody's here. Follow me. The door locks, and the men continue on. The two walks through a very small room into a hallway, but then they approach a dead end with a door facing them. Ganzarek reaches his hand out and opens it. It reveals utter darkness beyond the eye can see. He reaches his arm to the side, flicking up a switch. Ceiling lights turns on, unveiling the stairway stretching far downwards. Oh dear God. Don't worry, they're stable. Let's continue. Ganzarek walks down the steps, with Ganze following suit, closing the door behind him. In 1924, when we realized that communism was here to stay, some of the Mongolian people started to come up with other ideas. Some of us never wanted the old Mongol ways to die out because of a new system, so they decided to create something that no communist would detect nor suspect. How'd you pull that off? We basically lied, telling them that we're another secret police. Smart. Now, where was I? Yes. We were small at first, which is normal, but our numbers grew when someone decided it was an amazing idea to follow Joseph Stalin's idea of a purge in the late 1930s. After that, those who opposed the communists fled to this party in hopes that the old Mongolia would return. And then, as the Nazis invaded the Soviet Union and the war expanded to the Pacific, more and more Mongolians signed up to the party. The numbers continued to grow even after the war was over. We did get some soldiers who fought on the front lines to join, so we got some military experience. That includes you, by the way. And I'm not kidding. Half of the population began moving towards our party without telling the communists. Okay, that's all well and good, but what's the name of the party? The two arrives at the bottom of the stairs that seem to be endless. In front of them is a door. Ozawa faintly hears voices coming from the other side. Well, that's very simple. Gintoga Ozawa? He reaches for the handle and opens the door. Welcome to the Red Bamboo. The faint and muffled voices becomes clear. The door opens wide, revealing what is inside of the room. Gintoga's face lights up with surprise. Then, a smile forms on his face. Holy shit! Tens, if not hundreds of people are chatting, either with a glass of wine in their hand or not. As Ozawa and Ganzarek walks inside, the former hears ideas and new policies that can be implemented. So, how many people are in the party? 500,000. Hold on. The man stops, with Ganzarek following suit. Are you planning on overthrowing the communists? In due time, as long as there aren't any spies. And if there were, we would have found them already. But you shouldn't worry about that. Here, let me introduce you to our leader. He turns to his left. Oh, there he is. Hey, Balagachi! An old man in a white business suit turns away and spots the man calling to him. With a smile, he approaches him. Ganzarek! As he stops in front of them, his eyes gazes upon Ozawa. Oh, you must be Gintoga. Yes, sir. It's very nice to meet you. The two shakes each other's hands. So tell me, what is the goal of the Red Bamboo? Well, we're hoping to bring back old traditions of Mongolia before the Russian Civil War. Are one of those ideas bringing back a monarchy by chance? Balagachi raises both of his eyebrows. You know, we'd never thought of that idea. A restoration of the monarchy. I like that. That can work. Now that you mention it, yeah, it can. Mm-hmm. So, are you joining? Hell yes. Fantastic. He turns away from him. Everyone, your attention, please. The entire room falls silent, looking to the leader of the party. Meet our newest member, Gintoga Ozawa. Cheers. They toast to the new member. Joy overwhelms the 37-year-old. For the first time in his life, Gintoga is truly more welcomed than ever before. Years goes by as Ozawa settles into the Red Bamboo. As Ganzarek told him, as the population grows, so too does the party. On January 24, 1962, he releases a novel titled Descending from Greatness, a manifesto and bio on his life up to that point. With it, the man gains a mass following, even selling outside of Mongolia. However, his life is about to change within just 1 year. Dodai runs into Ozawa's room in a hotel. Ozawa himself turns around in his chair, surprised to see him there. Gintoga! What's going on? Balagachi was murdered by the Mongol secret police. What? How? I don't know. someone must have talked. But right now, there is a massive hole in the party's leadership. Ozawa calms himself. I hope someone fills up that role. Maybe Genseric. That's what we thought too, but he turned it down. What? Why? He has a family to worry about. Okay, that I'm not going to argue against. But Balagachi did nominate someone to take his place. Oh yeah? Who? Well, you. Dodai's word shocks and even baffles the wide-eyed Ozawa. Me? But I don't know how to run a political party. Oh, don't give me that bullshit. I've seen you learn from Balagachi for 5 years. Who are you fooling? Damn it. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not interested. Dodai gives out a sigh and places his hands on his hips, looking at the man with disappointed eyes. What the hell is this? You're just going to give up? Just like that? What? I thought your dream was not to become a normal man among society, but a man who is not only a politician, an amazing writer, and a magnificent speaker, because I heard you speak in public, but the one who brought the Mongol Empire back from the grave. Where did that Gintoga Ozawa go, huh? He was more of a man than whatever this is I'm seeing. Ozawa stares back at the man with his left eye twitching. Dodai realized that he had struck a nerve within the man. Actually, do you know what I'm seeing in front of me? I'm seeing a person who's too much of a cowardly bastard to fulfill his own dreams and take responsibility of recreating a kingdom for the Mongolian people. A vein grows on Gintoga's neck and his anger grows. And you know what? If the red bamboo goes down, everyone will be looking at you and compare you to Japan after the war. A bastardized, pacifistic pussy. Ozawa stands up from his chair, grabs Dodai by his collar, and pushes him, smashing him against the wall. He stares down at him with furious intent. Don't you ever say that again! How dare you doubt my ambitions! I'll break your fucking back if you ever say that again! I can do everything that Chinggis Khan did, if not better, no, greater! You want me to run the red bamboo? Fine, you got it! Hearing his response, Dodai smiles at his colleague. Ozawa lets go of his collar and puts his hands behind his back. Now, my first order of business, since elections are coming up, will enter our party's name into the ballots. We will promise the people a kingdom with me as the new Khan. And if any communist gets in the way, kill them. Understand? There's the Ozawa I know. It shall be done. Days and weeks goes by. Gintoga, as promised, takes up the mantle of chairman of the Red Bamboo. On the campaign trail, reforms, policies, and plans are introduced to the people of the country with slogans such as a return to old glory, bring in a constitutional monarchy, Mongolia as one, and glory to Chinggis Khan. Slogans that easily captures the public's attention, of which gravitated towards. Slogans that the Communist Party itself becomes very worried of. Many attempts were made to subdue or even eliminate the Red Bamboo, but those attempts had failed. But remarkably, some communist officials switched sides, increasing the credibility by 10. Wednesday, May 28, 1966. The Red Bamboo, led by Gintoga Ozawa, officially becomes an opponent against the Communist Party, the MPP, led by Premier Joachim Zebendal, in the capital's parliament building, the People's Great Corral. The election is being watched by the entire world. June 6, 1966. Election day has arrived, and the results are in. The Red Bamboo wins a shocking victory over their opposition, becoming the largest party in parliament, earning 104 seats to the MPP's 20. A surprise that everyone did not expect. A bloodless revolution in Mongolia. A bamboo revolution. That night, Gintoga Ozawa announces the establishment of the Kingdom of Red Mongolia with its Independence Day slated on the same day. Ozawa is proclaimed king, earning the title Gintoga Khan, and appointed Genseric as the kingdom's first prime minister. Outside of the newly formed kingdom, the United States, the United Kingdom and her Commonwealth, countries of NATO, Brazil, Egypt, Mexico, and Japan officially recognizes the constitutional monarchy and its government on June 7th, India the next day, followed by the Philippines on the 9th. And even communist countries gives the kingdom recognition. Josip Broz Tito's Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, Fidel Castro's Republic of Cuba, Ho Chi Minh's Vietnam, and Mao Zedong's People's Republic of China are those countries. But one refuses to get recognition. It is the same country that views Mongolia as a puppet state. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the Soviet Union. Within the Kremlin, a coup is in place to overthrow the Red Bamboo. But little did they know, however, the Mongolians are already aware of such a scenario and prepared themselves for what is to come. 27 T-62 main battle tanks of the Soviet 17th Tank Brigade of the 15th Army are driving down the northern steppe of Mongolia. The mission? To reinstall the MPP back into power and eliminate the Red Bamboo. The commanding officer, Major General Leonid Kuzumin, looks through his binoculars as his tanks passes through Kongor. The civilians in the village watches as the heavily armed vehicles drives past them. But most, if not all of them, have been expecting their arrival. One man walks back into his home and grabs a walkie-talkie. The enemy is heading for the plains. Repeat, they're heading your way. Good. 1:05 p.m. The brigade continues to drive down the AH-13 road on their way to the Mongolian capital. Kuzumin's eyes are fixated on the open plains in front of him. What's this? He spots something through his binoculars. No, someone. He grabs the speaker and holds it in front of his face. All tanks, halt! All of the tanks stops one after the other. Looking closely through his binoculars, he sees who is standing on top of a hill in the distance. My God, it's the Mongolian king! My God, it's the Mongolian king! He must have realized his efforts were useless. In that case, we'll give him a quick and easy death. Troops, tanks, form a line. My God, it's the Mongolian king! He must have realized his efforts were useless. In that case, we'll give him a quick and easy death. Tabashi, tanks, form a line. Soviet troops, walking with the tank column, steps up and lines up side by side. Gripping their AKMs, they wait for the person on the hill to do something. Kentoga himself watches as they, with the tanks, line up in rows one behind the other and approach slowly. He takes in a deep breath. Let's begin. A smile forms on his face. He spreads his arms out to the sides and lifts up his head slightly. How kind. A form of surrender. We'll take that offer. The Soviet army becomes frightened and shocked all at once. The voices are coming from everywhere, but they do not know where it is coming from. Suddenly, they feel as if the earth is rumbling. It grows louder and louder. It becomes the sound of horse hooves. 20 horsemen, suited in new Mongol armor, passes the king in a single column. They unsheath a pair of Turco-Mongol swords and holds them sideways as their horses gallops their way towards the 17th Tank Brigade. Get a hold of yourselves, comrades! Take aim! The soldiers aims their AKMs. Agoy! The assault rifles are unleashed. The bullets hit something, but not the horses nor their riders. A force field blocks the projectiles from touching them. What? All tanks, aim and fire! The 115mm cannons of the T-62s fires high explosive shells, but once again, they also hit the energy field. Impossible! Wait, that energy, that aura, they're espers! The Class A and Class S Mongolian espers reaches the soldiers and swings their swords in unison. The blades slices through the Soviet soldiers' necks, but some manages to duck in time. The Mongol Cavalry Corps swings their right sword in unison, slicing through the cannon barrels of the T-62s. They even slice through the tank's tracks, immobilizing them. Coming to the end of the third row, the horseman stops, turns around, and heads back to where they came from, all the while slicing the rest of the tank's tracks. In unison, they sheathe their swords and pulls out red sticks. They pull the caps and throws them in front of the tanks. The riders reaches back out into the open. Major General Kuzumin gets on the PKT machine gun and opens fire. Some of the bullets hits two horsemen, killing them off their horses. But then, he stops, noticing the red smoke coming from the tossed sticks. To his horror, it is more than sticks. Signaling flares? The sound of cannons firing can be heard as the Soviet men pick themselves up. The Espers rides away while the sound of whistling shells grows louder and louder. Enemy artillery! A shell hits a T-62 beside him. Its turret flies up in the air like an empty can before falling back down to earth. More and more shells crashes and explodes all around or on the tanks, either blowing them up or crippling their movement. The man ducks inside of the tank, closing the hatch. He and his tank crew nervously waits for the artillery bombardment to end, praying that they don't get hit. Then, it all falls silent. The tank crews look at each other, unknowing of what is going to happen next. They look ahead from inside of their vehicles. The dust in front of the column clears. All of their eyes widens. Fear has taken over their emotions. A massive column of Soviet-made T-54s and T-55s sits on the same hill that Ozawa stands on. Oh my God. The king himself climbs into a T-54 to his right and stands behind the turret. Brigadier General Gengi, it's your call. Yes, Your Majesty. 14th Armored Cavalry Division, open fire and move forward. The 100mm cannons of the Red Mongolian tanks fires armor-piercing sables. The projectiles hits their intended targets, hitting the crews, the ammunition storages, the latter causing the T-62s to explode. The 14th Armored Cavalry moves forward at 32 miles per hour, 51 kilometers per hour. The cavalry, armed with Mosin rifles and AK-47s, joins them in the assault. Almost every shell and bullet hits the T-62s and Soviet soldiers. Kuzumin and his tank crew exit their tank. The driver gets hit in the head and dies. The gunner gets shot in the leg, collapsing off of the vehicle. A sabot from a T-54 pierces through the armor and hits the ammunition, exploding instantly. It knocks the Major General away. He crashes on the dirt. Everything becomes a blur to him. The tanks of his brigade are being destroyed one after the other, and his men are dying with each second that passes. And then, the sounds of gunfire comes to a halt. He picks himself up, but his leg got injured in the fall, causing him to fall on his stomach. He crawls using his arms. A pair of feet stops in front of him. Kuzumin looks up. Gintoga Ozawa looks down at him with a smirk on his face as if he is seeing nothing but an insect. Behind the king, his tanks aims their cannons at him with the horsemen and soldiers surrounding him aiming their rifles at the Major General. Ozawa crouches down. Hello, sir. You're here on behalf of the Soviet Union, yes? Well, let me officially welcome you to the Kingdom of Red Mongolia. I hope I managed to impress you with my Red Army. Now then. He grabs him by his military collar and lifts him up. Kuzumin looks directly into his eyes, seeing the arrogant yet serious expression he is giving off. Let's talk about recognition, shall we?